Fantasy Blind Spot, where we shine the light on what you can't see. He's a cornerstone piece. He's a guy you're going to want on your fantasy team.
It's all about them splash plays.
Oh my God, did that just happen? I can't believe he made that catch.
He's got that big play ability.
The football gods made this guy to play football.
All right, so he's just an explosive runner. He's one of those guys that when he gets in the open space, he just puts his foot in the ground and he's gone. What's up? Welcome into Fantasy Blind Spot, where we shine the light on things you can't see. I am the Blind Guy. You can find me on X at the Blind Guy FF. With me, as always, is my co-host, the crazy Canadian Shawn Thompson. You can find him on X at Maximus8911. And thanks for listening and now watching, guys. So welcome to the video portion. You guys can see me. I still can't see you. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right. Finally made the switch in season 4, halfway through. Figured good time after the draft and get this going. How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's been a bit of a hassle trying to get this stuff to set up right, and we still got some work to do, but we're getting there, getting stuff figured out, and we're live. So here we are.
Yep, it'll slowly get better. We also lost somebody, that David Wilcox, which I'll say is a friend of our show, even though we've never talked to him. We've talked about him quite a bit. Found dead. They're trying to say it's suicide, but his last video, even that he made 3 days before he was found dead, he even said, like, I'd never want to kill myself. And it's just a strange video, that last one, too, because he was going off. Like, you've already lost this war. We know what's going on. Like, why are you doing this? Like, just strange.
Yeah, some weird times we're living in, that's for sure.
Yep. And then it's come out that Ty Simpson was meeting with Sean McVay secretly before the draft.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those things with draft time. Like, who knows what's real? We don't know. And maybe this is like a cover because of the whole thing of when they drafted him, everybody saying, well, McVay looked low energy and looked mad. And how do we know that they're not pushing that out? That, oh, well, there was actually secret meetings the whole time to cover that more. You know, I mean, especially when we're seeing the stuff with Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel that was going on. Like, who knows?
If it was a different organization, I would put some credence to that. But Snead and McVay have been lock and step every step of the way since they've been with the Rams. Like, they hired them both at the same time. It was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Like, you're not going to get to pick your defensive coordinator this first couple of years because we want somebody that's a veteran. That's why they brought in, who was that they brought? Wade Phillips?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so he had him, and then he started being able to pick his coaching after he got a bit more. But they've always been in the same lock and step. Like, even remember when who was it? Cole Strange, was it? The Patriots drafted, and the two of them were in the press conference, and they're like, "What? Why'd you have me looking at him in the third?" So it's like, I think you were on the same page the whole way. And this, once they got Trent McDuffie with that 29th pick, it was like they said, like, okay, once we traded that, we knew we were taking Ty Simpson at 16.
Right, and my whole thing too, like I said with draft season, like there's just so much BS about everything, and they're so starved for news. I thought it was interesting that they even tried to make a story of it. Like, if you think they're going to make a pick at quarterback and Sean McVay's not going to know who it is and when they're taking that, like, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn, I guess.
Yeah, well, you got to think, what was more of a weird pick, though? That Ty Simpson one, which I think was a perfect fit for the Rams. You're getting your quarterback before you even friggin' Stafford. Yeah, you got 2 more years, but now this guy needed development. So now he's sitting behind Stafford. You got Stafford and McVay you can go on to. So what's more weird, that one or the 49ers Striblins pick to start the second? You could have got the guy in the 4th, for Christ's sakes. What are you wasting your friggin' second round pick on that for?
Yeah, we'll definitely get into all that more, but I agree with you. It wasn't even the strangest pick. And what was the biggest knock on Simpson? Was that he was inexperienced, right? He only had 1 year really as a starter.
Yep.
Okay, well, now he went to a team where he doesn't have to start right away. And if he is starting, you have bigger problems. Because that means you just lost your MVP franchise quarterback.
Perfect for them as far as I'm concerned. You can sit and wait, and then you know what he's going to know by the time he goes in there, right? Like, think Patrick Mahomes, Jordan Love. Like, it just works when you can do that. I guess the Bills, too, after what they've done in the draft, getting some more wide receivers, traded for DJ Moore, they've been getting a lot of calls about Keon Coleman, and they shut them all down, said they're not even trading them. What are you going to go get all these wide receivers for? You're sitting this guy as an inactive last year, and you won't even friggin' trade him? Like, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah, some weird stuff going on there. Maybe it's one of those. I made this pick. I invested heavily in this pick, so we're gonna make sure this pick has every opportunity to work. Who knows?
Yeah,
It's just
weird.
interesting. Or maybe they're clinging to that one game he had. What was it? Last year, week 1, right? He was like 7 catches for 145 yards and a touchdown. Looked really good. And that did nothing the rest of the season.
Yep. And I started him week 1 and didn't start him the rest of the season.
Yep.
It's hilarious. And then we got the Jets. Who'd they just draft at quarterback? Do you remember? Was it? No, Nesmir went to KC.
Yeah,
I thought
Nesmire.
they drafted one. Oh, I guess I could look at the pick here.
Was it Klubnik?
Yeah, Klubnik.
Cade Klubnik in the 4th.
They must
I think
not
it
feel
was.
confident about that because they're thinking about bringing in Russell Wilson to be the QB2 for the year.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Don't do that at all.
Just want shit to go fucking sour right off the hop, but it's also draft season for DLF, getting those mocks going. So I got a couple of those we can get to, and we can actually pull those up on the stage right now. So the first one we got here is the 1 QB one that I did. I was picking in the 5 slot, which is why you see my X handle there.
You said last slot?
The 5th slot.
Oh, 5. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember.
This one, obviously, Jeremiah Love. I don't think you're going to have any drafts out there unless a guy's super flex quarterback needy. You might have Mendoza go 1, but for the most part, Love. Second was Tyson. Third, we got Carnell Tate. Fourth was Malachi Lemon, which I'm surprised he's still up that high because I wouldn't touch him in the top 5 now.
Okay.
Would you?
I mean, I was higher on him coming in, so I know you were lower on him as a USC guy. He was one of my top receivers in this draft. Like I said, depending on the day, it changes. But
and I got another 1 QB one we can talk about. I just don't have the graphics for it because it just started last night. So 5 was me. I took KC Concepcion. 6 was Jadarius Price, which shocked the hell out of me.
Yeah, that's the one I think with him getting first round draft capital, I think he's going to climb way up there. And I'm not entirely positive. I think you and I were lower on him coming in.
Yeah, we were, but both these 1 QB ones, he went in the first round. And high, like top 6.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So then we got 7 was Shadiq, 8's Omar Cooper, 9 was Stowers, 10 was Denzel Boston, 11 was Antonio Williams, so he shot up boards.
Yeah, he shot up.
Which we talked about before the draft, that this size, he's probably do that. And then the 12th was Jermaine Bernard.
Oh, okay. So really, I think only 2 spots are different then? Like the
Price
order
jumped up, Cooper's jumped up, and Williams has jumped up.
Yeah, order shifted a little bit because you had names come in. So, I mean, that still sounds about like what we had before. Do you think any other running backs move in?
Well, let me go through this other 1 QB one I don't have the graphic for. So obviously it went Love again. Instead of Tyson at 2, it was Tate. KC Concepcion was 3. Tyson was 4. Lemon was 5. Price was 6 again.
Oh, so same 6.
Yep.
Just slightly different order.
Yep. And then we start out the next 2 picks after the 7 and 8 are Shadiq and Cooper again. So the exact same.
there.
And then it's Stowers and Boston again. Same there. And then it ends with Williams. Same there. But instead of Bernard, it's Mendoza. And Mendoza went 2.02 in the other one.
Yeah, so that's still putting Mendoza at the back of the first. It's going to be early second. Well, I guess it makes sense in a 1 QB league. It just depends. Is this just new draft spots that are getting people excited? Because, I mean, we've known Mendoza's draft spot for months now, and yet now he's moving back in drafts. It's kind of weird, don't you think?
Or is everyone just catching up with us because we watched the tape early and kind of fell out of love with him, right?
Yeah,
and then once he has the pick, people actually started looking at him and it was kind of like, ooh, I don't like the Raiders situation here and what they've done. But I think he was going around 1.8 to 1.10 before the draft, so it's not like he fell a lot. I just think Price,
just people liking the spots more.
Yeah, Price and Cooper and Stowers went to good spots, so it's like they jumped up ahead of him in 1 QB.
Yeah.
Because like we'll pull up the Superflex one I did now. So this is the Superflex that I got up here. Again, the 1.01 was Love, 2 was Mendoza. So it's like he didn't fall at all in Superflex. He just fell in 1 QB. 3 went Tyson, 4 was Tate, 5 was Lemon, and 6 was Concepcion, with Shadiq and Cooper going 7 and 8. So those haven't changed really at all.
That's not. Yeah.
Price went 9. Ty Simpson went 10.
Okay.
And then it finished off with Stowers and then Denzel Boston.
Yeah, so it moved Simpson into the first round, which I could see. I mean, I think you and I picked that as a potential landing spot anyway.
Well, I'll tell you, I love that 10 pick I got from you when I trade it back from 1 to 3 now.
Yeah.
Because that's where Ty Simpson's going, and I'm the one with Matt Stafford.
Yeah, so that works out nice.
If Simpson falls that far, I got to take him at 10, right? Because we're going to
the Super Bowl
next year.
Yeah.
So I should be able to get him there, but
yeah, and then that makes your Stafford piece more valuable to you too, because before, if Stafford would go down, you're just screwed.
Well, I've got pretty good quarterbacks in that league. I still got Purdy and Trevor Lawrence, and I think I got somebody else. New Orleans, Spencer Rattler, I think.
Yep.
He's pretty much done now.
Yeah, that seems that way.
Can remove that. All right, well, let's get in. Talk some ball.
Yes, sir.
Time for the Grape Light, where we discuss what's happening around the league.
All right, well, let's get into the news from the last week, and we're going to start out with something from a Hall of Famer here from the Giants. Lawrence Taylor is in the hospital with some stomach issues, so sending him some wishes to get out of the hospital and hope all is well.
Get well soon.
Hate to lose another football god, but I guess John Madden would be happy if he joined them, but still a little young to be doing that. We also have a couple fifth-year pickups here. So the Eagles picked up Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith's fifth. I was surprised they picked up Nolan Smith's, considering he was their number 1 backup linebacker last year.
Well, he battled injuries most of last season. So he was really in and out of the lineup. I wonder if maybe that was part of it. And they're just like, okay, well, we like what you do when you're on the field and you're still valuable to us. We'll pick it up.
Well, they had Zach Bond, and who was the other guy they brought over? Like, he just didn't make it, like, even before the injuries. And he started getting in there at midway point, taking over the other guy that was other than Zach Bond.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else they have in the middle. Why am I drawing a blank?
What's his name? They got Trotter, but it wasn't him. Yeah, I can't. I'm drawing a blank here as well.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But we'll see here. We also got the Tampa Bay Bucks picked up the 5th year on defensive tackle Kalijah Casey, or Cansey, Kncey.
Yeah, I expected this one. He's been a good piece for them when he's been on the field. It's just, again, kind of like Nolan Smith, injuries too.
Yep. Let's see here. Detroit picked up Jabari Gibbs' option, obviously, but then they turned down Jack Campbell's option, who's their middle linebacker, which surprised me because he's
I wonder if that was just a hey, we want to bring you back, but not at that price point. You know what I mean?
Oh, probably. Yeah, I don't know what a linebacker would get
because he went before Gibbs in that draft.
No, he didn't. Did he?
Yeah, he was their first pick. Gibbs was their second.
Yeah, it probably has something to do with the linebacker. Like a running back, right? You're not going to pick up a running back's 5th unless they're fucking great.
Right, and I think Campbell, if I remember right, he was a top 10 pick. He was like 6, and then Gibbs went like 11 or 12.
I thought Campbell was after.
Mm-mm.
Huh, interesting. All right, well, so that's all we got for the 5th years picked up. Pittsburgh.
Oh, there was one more. There was Jordan Addison. The Vikings picked up his.
Oh, I thought we talked about that a couple while ago.
Did we?
Yeah, I thought it's the last episode.
Okay,
I think
maybe we did. We were talking 5th year's options. So
these have just been coming in slowly.
Yeah. Yep, very.
And then Pittsburgh did something that you hardly see. Did you see this yet? About Aaron Rodgers, they put the unrestricted free agent tag on him, which I can't even remember the last time it was used. So basically, Rodgers, for those who don't know, Rodgers could sign anywhere he wants to until June 21st, unless Pittsburgh's mandatory mini camp is before the 21st. So basically, whenever Pittsburgh's mini camp starts, then Pittsburgh has the right of first refusal to Aaron Rodgers signing anywhere. So if he goes to sign with another team, say the Ravens, just to throw out a team, Pittsburgh can match that, and then Rodgers would have to go play for the Steelers. Not that I think he has any other options other than the Steelers, but
No, and it is kind of weird. I think both sides know that it's going to be Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Like I said, I think Steelers fans, like, this isn't necessarily a surprise to them. Like, we've been going through this with Rodgers for how long? Not as Steelers fans, but as football fans, of just he does this every offseason. It's interesting because maybe it's one of those, the Steelers using it as, okay, Rodgers, like, we expect you to come back, but if you're not, we don't want to negotiate. Go figure out what your contract's going to be, because this is what we're going to do. You know what I mean?
And to me, I think it's just the way I take this. Aaron Rodgers, he's 42 years old, man. He's already know Mike McCarthy's system. He doesn't need to be there for all this shit. I think he has told Pittsburgh he's coming back. I think he's given them a date on when he's coming back. And this is just Pittsburgh going, okay, well, we're going to chuck this on you because we want to protect ourselves.
Yeah, it could be. Like, my voice cracked weird there. But I agree. It's I don't think it's necessarily news. I think it's just kind of both sides already know what's going to happen. It's just dotting T's, crossing I's, like, whatever, I guess. You know?
Yep, pretty much. And then in Houston, Chad Brinker, who's in charge of the football operations, he stepped down. Basically wants to go back to scouting is how it sounds like, because he's lost the love for the game and doing it. And so,
yeah. Interesting time to do that. But, I mean, at least he said, you know, hey, I got you guys through the draft now. I need a break.
Yeah, and
I don't want to do this.
Well, he's only been doing it since 2024. It's not that even that he needed a break. He just wants to go back into the scouting realm, and this is where you start your scouting for next year's draft. So it's kind of the perfect timing.
Yep. Makes sense.
We also got Denver's Bo Nix has had a second procedure on his ankle over the weekend. So still say he's going to be ready for training camp, but it's never good when you have to go in for a second procedure.
Yeah, it made me ask, like, did they use screws? Maybe they just went in and took the screws out, which is something that happens with stuff like that.
Yeah, that could be that. I didn't even think of that. And then Texas Tech's quarterback. Have you seen this? Brendan Sorby.
Yes. Yeah, in the transfer portal.
Tell me you're an asshole of freaking NCAA. The guy freaking goes and puts himself into a gambling rehab facility, and the NCAA goes, whoa, we better look into this. Maybe he was betting on his own games. So now he's being investigated by the NCAA by checking into rehab. You're just telling other people, don't check into rehab if you got a gambling problem, because that puts a target on your back with us now.
Yes and no, but I also think they kind of have to do this because you can't have even the optics of your players gambling on games.
Well, I get that, but at the same time, you also want these guys getting help if they need it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the airplane pilots back in the day when they saw UFOs. If they reported, they lost their pilot license because they're deemed crazy. So everyone just stopped reporting it. And now they're trying to get them to report it now because they want to see all this, but nobody wants to do it because of all the shit they threw on before.
Yep. Yep.
But anyways, that's all we got for the news. That's now that you got the grapes, go make the wine. And we are just going to go right into our draft grades. Or would you rather talk the unrestricted free agents sign-ins?
We could do either. So
well, let's do the undrafted free agents for now. A couple interesting ones for me. The Bengals got Jamal Haynes, the running back from Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm. I saw that one.
Carolina got, and I've only did the offense here because I figure that's all people care about for fantasy. The Panthers picked up quarterback Haynes King from Georgia Tech, which I thought was interesting because that guy can move an offense.
Yes. Yes, he can. And he was doing that. And it's a decent arm, not great arm, but it's everything else that he brings with his legs that makes him so interesting.
And he's smart too, so he can run those triple options. Yep. The Chiefs signed Jeff Caldwell, the 6'5" combine 40-star.
Yep, from Pittsburgh or Cincinnati, I think it was.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
Which I thought that was what does that say about Worthy there?
Yeah, right. And the Chiefs, we know they love their speed guy, and they thought they had it in Worthy, and he hasn't been able to stay on the field. So, even when he's been on the field, it hasn't quite been what they were hoping for when they drafted him at 28
I
overall.
hate this landed spot for Caldwell too. Like if I'm a wide receiver, I'm not signing with Andy Reid. He is like one of the worst coaches for wide receiver development that there is.
Yep. Well, I mean, are they just looking at him going, hey, we had some games with Hardman, we had some games with Tyquan Thornton, maybe we can get a couple of games with Caldwell.
Yeah, maybe.
So who knows?
Outside of that, it's just Washington brought in Chris Hilton Jr. from LSU, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, there was one other one that was interesting. Diego Pavia. Did you see where he landed?
Diego Pavia. No, I did not.
Baltimore with a 3-year deal.
3-year deal.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
That is crazy.
So, 3-year deal for Diego Pavia in Baltimore. And I think that's interesting because, I mean, you got Lamar Jackson, and you know they have Tyler Huntley, who they like as a backup. Well, now Pavia can just learn. Let him sit and learn. So, still with me?
Can you hear me now?
Yep, there we go.
All right.
I think you're muted or something.
Yeah. Just let me write this down here for a second at a time.
Yeah, I didn't see the money. I just saw a 3-year deal for Pavia in Baltimore. I was like, whoa.
Let's see if they have the money before I unpause it.
Plus, you got to like him running your scout team.
Yeah. My internet's fucking acting up right now. All right. It's not going to say. Remember what the last thing was?
What's that?
All right. Well, we'll just go right into the draft stuff, I guess, now, eh?
Yeah, that works.
All right. All right. Well, that's pretty interesting what the Ravens did there, taking him for a 3-year deal. But let's get into these draft grades that we done. We'll start with the Raiders. I thought they had one of the best drafts. I'd put them at top 3 drafts like them. The Dolphins and the Jets, to me, had the best drafts. We'll see what they can do with the players that they select to go and coach in, right? It's always the issue. So Raiders obviously had the number 1 pick of the draft. They started it with Mendoza. What did you think of their second-round pick with Stukes?
You know what? I like him because that was about the range that I thought he was going to go. There was a couple draft analysts later into the draft, like in April, that were talking about him maybe getting hyped up into the back of the first round. So to get him in the second, I think it's a good piece that they needed, and he brings some attitude to that secondary, which they've been looking for a safety for a long time now.
Yep. Well, they had Morig there. I thought he was pretty good, but he just didn't fit their style or
exactly
their play style a little bit more. As for fantasy purposes, they went a lot of defensive guys, but they did take in the 4th. They were lucky enough to get Gerald McCoy, traded up to get him, who's first round talent. Excellent fucking pick there. And they took Mike Washington later in the 4th as well.
Yeah, and I think with Kubiak talking about potentially doing 2 running backs there in his system, I think that Washington brings a good change of pace to Ashton Genty because they are very different backs.
Yeah, for sure. Be a nice little.
One of the things I did find interesting though is they didn't quite attack receiver like I thought they might. They went late.
No, I thought they would too, but like that Malik Benson, he's okay. They got Jack Beck last year and Thornton. Didn't they bring somebody in from free agency too?
Yeah, Jalen Naylor. They gave him a bunch of money.
Yeah, well, that's just silliness. I don't know what they're thinking. Then they should have got one at the top of the second, I think, instead of the safety. But maybe Stukes is somebody they really want it.
Yeah, that or I mean, we saw Elijah Surratt go in the 4th. It would have been nice to just pair him with his quarterback, especially when they already have that back shoulder on tap.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that would have been a nice pick.
So
I gave them an A.
Yep, me too. They had a good draft.
Well, let's go on to the Kansas City Chiefs. I gave them an A. I thought they had a pretty decent draft. Their first pick was 6th overall. They traded up to get them. I don't think they necessarily needed to. They probably could have stayed there, but with the Commanders and the Saints ahead of them, they both needed corners, so they felt they needed to trade in, and they took Manze Delane, probably the best corner in this class, came back later in the 1st and took Peter Woods working on their line. And then at the top of the 2nd, they were gifted Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. So they're really working on that defensive line to try to get some pressure on these quarterbacks.
Yeah, and you got to love letting Peter Woods and Mason Thomas develop alongside Chris Jones on that defensive line.
Perfect, man. Plus, they also got the big Greek freak there. Can't
Yes,
forget about
agreed.
him. They took a few years ago. And then in the 5th, for fantasy purposes, they took Emmett Johnson, who's a fantasy darling before the draft. I think he's going to fall down the boards quite a bit, especially going to the Chiefs behind Kenneth Walker, and she should be able to pass Amari pretty easily, though.
Yeah, I think so too. And with that backfield, we talk about in fantasy, you like to target ambiguous backfield, so where you don't necessarily know which one the lead guy is. I don't think that's necessarily this backfield. And I like Johnson, but going in the 5th, that doesn't guarantee you anything. And with Andy Reid, we know rookie running backs take him a while.
Yep, exactly. And then what do you think of the wide receiver they took in the 5th, Cyrus Allen from Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. He's one of those guys at Cincinnati, like in our college football league. I was watching him a lot, and he would have big weeks, but then he would just be non-existent. And maybe those were the Jeff Caldwell games, I guess. Just
or
interesting.
the games where he was going against other NFL talent
Right.
and just couldn't produce, right? That's why I always like to look, okay, where's the games they produce? Who was he going against? Especially with the wide receiver, it tells you a lot. They also took Garrett Nessimir in the 7th, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and I had to look into this a little bit because it kind of surprised me, that he fell to the 7th, and then also that Kansas City of all teams would be the ones to take him. And it sounds like he had a bunch of top 30 visits. So I think it was more the Chiefs were afraid that somebody else was going to swoop in the undrafted market and take him. So to avoid all that, they just drafted him in the 7th. And a great landing spot for Nussmeier. And
perfect spot to learn the game, especially the NFL game, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's get into the Chargers draft now.
Mm-hmm.
Pull all their stuff up. Jim did pretty much what we said he was going to do.
Absolutely.
Pretty much worked on both of those lines on the offense and defensive side. Started out with Akeem Messamir from Miami in the first slot, 22nd overall.
I was surprised he lasted that long.
Oh, so was I.
We thought he'd be like a top half guy.
There was a lot more offensive picks, though, than we thought there was going to be.
Yep, that also true.
So changed everything.
Yep.
And then in the 4th, he took Brennan Thompson, which I was a little bit surprised at.
I was too, and this to me just screams Mike McDaniel pick. He wants that speed. He wants to take the top off the defense, use him in those wide receiver screens, and then bubble screens and end arounds. End around is the one that's drawn a blank on me.
Yeah, I don't think you can do too much more with him in the NFL with his 5'7" stature that he got. Or if you want 5'7" and 7/8.
Yeah, give him that 7/8, man.
Yeah, but nobody really fantasy wise there. But I thought a pretty decent draft, so I gave them a B.
Yes, I also gave them a B. I will always grade teams higher when they attack the offensive line.
Yeah, me as well. All right, well, that brings us to the Broncos. And they didn't have a pick until the 3rd round, and they started out with defensive tackle Tyler Oyinden from Texas A&M. Then they came back in the 4th with Jonah Coleman from Washington, which I thought was a great pick for them, especially if their future backfield's him and RJ Harvey.
Yeah, I agree. And with Sean Payton, too, he's one of those guys that he's going to cycle through backs, and he's been trying to find it. So they did sign J.K. Dobbins, so I was a little surprised at this pick. But I was also surprised that Jonah Coleman was on the board in the 4th round. And in Denver, they probably saw him a lot out there in Washington because it's not a far trip for them to make.
No, and also J.K.'s only signed to 1 year, right? Like he's kind of that true bridge player now. Or
yeah, exactly. Just help get.
You're just going to be a guy for a year.
Yeah, let Jonah Coleman get up to speed on the offense. Do you think that this lowers RJ Harvey at all? Because one of the things with Coleman we know is that he's a good pass catcher, and that is what RJ Harvey was doing last year. He had, 58 targets?
I think Harvey's moved down to RB3 there now.
You think so?
Yeah.
So you think Coleman takes over him already?
Yeah.
He was taken 2 rounds later.
He was just in one of those situations, right, where it was a good situation, but he didn't take advantage. JK was actually better than him. And the only time Harvey was actually really getting the ball was when JK was hurt.
Yeah, I mean, he did have, 10 touchdowns? 8 touchdowns?
And then the pick I love, this is one of my top 10 picks of the draft.
Okay.
5th round, tight end, Justin Jolly, a guy me and you said in the pre-draft process, this is a Sean McVay tight end. If
Sean
he
Payton.
goes there, or Sean, yeah.
Yep.
What's his name again? Sean
Payton.
If he goes there, He is gonna friggin' fly off the charts. And you know where I'm getting him in these mock drafts, man?
Where's
End
that?
of the third round.
Really?
Yeah. I was
That's
sending
kinda
it to
interesting.
parents. He's like, no Justin Jolly, because I sent him I had it down into like 3.1 on the one. Because I sent you guys, like I said, I sent the invite. Try to get you guys invited onto this with the DLF stuff. And he's like, no Justin Jolly. I'm like, I'm up in 3 picks, man. He's my number one guy. And I got him at 3.08.
That's just crazy.
And Ryan did a commissioner pick because I was sleeping and he took friggin' Jeff Caldwell. I'm like, no way in the fourth. I'm like, I would have taken Justin Jolly there, like easily. So you can get him like late fourth, early fourth, late third easily. And this guy to me is going to be a fantasy star. Maybe not year one, but like tight ends you want to own. I think this is one of the guys like right up there.
Oh, I agree. And he's one of the ones that we talked about early and often, and he ends up with a great spot.
They did take another tight end named Dalton Bentley from Utah, but he's more of a blocking tight end.
Yep. And that, speaking of, like, they're not the only team to take 2 tight ends in this draft. It was crazy how many tight ends went in this draft, and a lot of them went early.
Well, I had it was after our mock draft, obviously, but that night I was like watching some stuff on the NFL Network, and there was a bunch of GMs on there talking, giving some interviews, and all of them said, "You're going to see a lot more 12 personnel this year. That's real." So
I don't doubt it.
Freaking tight end started coming off the board. I was like, okay, here we go. This is going to be big boy. We're going to have to start getting these big defensive guys again, and the hits are going to start coming back just from that, just naturally from the guys you have on the field.
From the bigger guys on the field. Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, that does the AFC West. We can move on to the Buffalo Bills now. And the Bills traded out of the first, doing what the Niners did, just trade back, trade back, trade back.
Yeah, they did 3 times, I think, right?
Yeah, so did the Niners. But they still ended up with a first-round friggin' talent in T.J. Parker for the edge, which is a position of need. The Bills also need it, so it worked out friggin' perfect for them.
Oh, it did, and it was
my
crazy.
Draft grade for the Broncos was a B-, by the way.
Okay, I don't think I said mine either. I had a B for them.
Yeah,
just it's tough not having a first or second round pick.
And then they came back and took cornerback David Igbonson from Ohio State, which I thought was a good pick. They have a hard time finding those cornerbacks there in Buffalo. They normally go in the first, and it hasn't worked out with them with Elam and who was the other guy before him?
Harrison Jr. is the one they took last year.
Yeah, and it just hasn't panned out for them.
Yeah,
so
he got hurt, I think.
Get a guy like Davidson at the back of the second, I thought was a great pickup. But you're an Ohio State guy. You can say more to him than I can.
Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing that he will bring to this defense is that physicality, which is something that Buffalo's also been looking for in their corners and not been able to find. Like, Harrison's a speed guy. Is it Ephraim? Elam, I think it is.
Elam, yeah.
Yeah, he was another one that was just not quite as physical, more of a speed guy, where Igmanoson's not afraid to get dirty, and he'll get in there and hit you. So I like the physicality that he brings, and he's going to need it playing in that division, especially because A.J. Brown's going to be in that division, it sounds like.
You think?
It seems that way, along with
Can they still afford him after paying Dobbs all that money?
Yeah. Who else are they paying?
Nobody.
They're not paying Drake. Yeah, they're not paying Drake May yet.
Yeah, I guess. Let's see here. They also took Skylar Bell in the 4th round. Which,
I was going to ask you how you felt about that one.
Does that not feel like a Shakir backup? If Shakir can't go, then this guy fills in? Because they're the same type of player.
That's what I was going to say, is this shows that Buffalo they really have a type at wide receiver, because look at the roster. It's Shakir, it's this guy, and DJ Moore is also kind of that type of player. Who did they have before that? Elijah Moore was one of those guys. Curtis Samuel was one of those guys. They clearly have a type.
They want that speedy friggin' slot guy, but you're drafting all the wrong guys, because like Shakir and Bell, they can both play the outside.
Yeah, I agree.
Do something different and put Keon Coleman in the slot and have that big slot guy in the middle.
Yep. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it works out with that offense under Joe Brady now. He was running the offense.
Oh, you mean Elarms is who you were talking about, the linebacker they took?
Who?
Elarms?
No.
Is that who you're talking about, or Elarms?
No, I was talking about the corner.
Yep. Yeah, they mostly went defense. They did take a punter in Tommy Domain from Florida, which I thought was freaking strange. You're in Buffalo, snow country, and you're going out and taking a punter from friggin' Florida.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Was he a good punter? You're a Florida fan. Tell us about this punter.
I don't think he was anything that needed to be drafted, especially in Buffalo. You know what I
Makes
mean?
sense. Yep.
Like, I don't know. Florida's one of those weird teams. Like, you see a lot of guys get drafted from Florida in this draft, and it's like every year they do, but they don't really get talked about. It's because they've got great freaking talent. It's just they're all head cases.
Yeah, sounds about
So they're
right.
hard to control. We can move on. We'll go to the Jets picks now. Oh, I gave the Bills an A.
Yep, I also gave them an A.
And I'll just start out with my grade for the Jets since I keep forgetting it. I gave them an A+, which is my highest grade I can give to these Jets.
Yeah, I didn't go A+, but that's just because I didn't give anybody higher than an A. Not intentional, just I didn't look at any one draft and go, I absolutely love every single one of these picks. Every one of them, I guess, had a head scratcher. So it's like, okay, well, A.
They sure did, but it was pick your poison type of guy. So the Jets obviously had the second pick of the draft. They went David Bailey.
Yep.
Who near the end we thought we went Austin Reese there with our first mock, but ended up on him with our second mock right before the draft. And then they came back in the second or the first with Shadik, which over a wide receiver, which we talked about for the Panthers, but it kind of works for the Jets too because they have nobody as well.
Yeah, and that's where it was interesting because they went Sadiq over Mekhi Lemon was still on the board at that point. So they ended up going Sadiq there and then came back at pick 30, traded back into the first round again and took Omar Cooper. So going that route, I think it makes a little more sense. Or would you rather them go Mekhi Lemon at 16 and then come back around and get Stowers later?
So I think I would have rather that.
That's kind of what I was thinking
there's
too.
Much of a drop between Shadik and Stowers. Like I think they're pretty tight. But the drop from Lemon to Cooper Jr. is bigger.
That's kind of what I think. And with that, their offense looks quite different now. Look, you got Omar Cooper, Garrett Wilson, Kenyon Sadiq. You got Breece Hall coming back. That's an interesting little team you're putting together there.
Yeah, I like it. They also got their first defensive pick they took was at 218, where they took D'Angelo Pons from India, which gives and this guy here. If you want to know how he plays exactly like Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
He's gone to where Aaron Glenn coaches, so he's going to set the tone on that defense. He's very physical. So they got the tone setter, and then they came back with Darnell Jackson Jr. from Florida, which this guy's just got a nasty streak to him in the middle, kind of like Quentin Williams. Not as talented, obviously, but just as nasty.
Yeah, and it's with those picks they traded away, Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams. They just replaced both of them in this draft with pretty good pieces, I think. D'Angelo Pons was one of the top corners, I think, coming into the draft. I'm surprised at the way this draft went with all the corners that we liked. We only saw 2 in the first round.
Yeah, they felt like crazy because the offensive pieces people wanted to get their guy because of how it was. They also took Cade Klubnik in the 4th round at the 10th spot, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and that was the one quarterback I wasn't sure he would get drafted, and he ends up with the Jets. And hey, I mean, he's got an opportunity. Geno Smith's in front of you. We saw him fall apart last year under pressure. We'll see how that offensive line holds up. Might see Klubnik.
He was the number 1 rated quarterback coming out of high school the year after Arch Manning. So
yeah,
you're hoping that he just wasn't able to put it together on a Clemson team where nobody was able to put it together.
Yeah,
so I mean, got to steal a draft here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at all the Clemson players we've been talking about already. TJ Parker, Peter Woods. I think their offensive lineman got drafted. We've had a few other corners and defensive guys. There's a lot of players on the Clemson team.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, we can move on to the Patriots, and I gave them my lowest grade with a C.
Okay. I went B-, so we're close.
Yeah, still close. They had the 28th pick. They moved up, took offensive tackle Caleb Lumo from Utah. Then they went edge. They took Eli Raridan from Notre Dame in the 3rd, a tight end, which surprised me. A lot more holes than that.
Yep.
Then they took a quarterback in the 7th round, B. Ren Morton from Texas Tech, which was a surprise.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that one either. Didn't they take 2 tight ends? I think the Patriots are the team I was thinking of. I had my white teams confused.
Nope, they got 1.
Just 1?
Yep. Let's check to see the undrafted free agent. Yep, just the 1.
Maybe it was just because I was surprised that they even took a tight end.
They also took Jam Miller.
Yeah, and that one,
in the
I
7th.
thought, yeah, and to me, this just feels like there's somehow still an Alabama New England connection going on. Because,
Oh, for sure, probably.
I mean, shoot, Jam Miller didn't do much of anything last year. That's one of the reasons that Ty Simpson started to struggle, aside from the injuries, was they just had no running game whatsoever.
And he just kind of seems like a replacement body for Stevenson as Stevenson goes down to have
Yeah.
that big power back.
Yep. I mean, his best season, I think, was 670 yards and 6 touchdowns or something like that. Not terrible, also not great.
And they picked 2 guys in their draft class with some weird friggin' names after obviously Vrabel wasn't there for these days for rounds 4 on.
Yep.
But in this 5th round, they took offensive tackle Detarius Crownover from Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And at the end of the 7th, they took edge Quintavious Hutchins from Boston College. So you want some difficult first names to pronounce at camp? You got it right there.
Right. And that's why I didn't go C on that, because they still did go offensive line and defensive line mostly. And that tight end, I believe, is a blocking tight end.
Yeah,
Notre Dame.
I think so too.
So indirectly affecting the offensive line also.
Yeah, just trying to keep May up because they had problems at the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
All right. We can move on to the Dolphins now. And the Dolphins, I'll give an A+, man, because I love their draft. It was not a pretty draft or a sexy draft, however you want to call it, but it was a foundational piece draft. They started out with the 12th overall. I think they moved back 1 spot and took Caden Proctor from Alabama, work on that line. And then in the back of the 7th, took a nasty corner who you really like, and Chris Johnson from San Diego State. And then the top of the 2nd went Jacob Rodriguez, who can set the tone on that middle linebacker position. So, like, you got your left tackle, you got your shutdown corner, and you got your middle linebacker. Right there, you're fixing that team off the hop. And then they come back and took the wide receiver in the 3rd round, which I thought they could have won a better one, but they like Caleb Douglas from Texas Tech.
Yeah, that, like I said, every draft had that one pick. I was like, that to me, it's that Caleb Douglas pick. Like, he could be fine, and it's a 3rd round, so really, how much does that bother you if it's wrong, right? But they also made up for it later in that 3rd round, coming back, getting a guy we liked in Chris Bell. So they doubled up on the receiver position, and their first 3 picks I loved, like you said, and getting Jacob Rodriguez in the 2nd, like that's just the linebackers also fell because of all the offensive guys that went in the 1st round. We saw some great values on linebackers.
Oh yeah, I love that Chris Bell pick as well. Like, I'm taking him before I take Douglas in rookie drafts because I like him that much.
Yeah, Douglas is more of that speed guy.
Yep.
Take top off him.
And the Dolphins did take 2 tight ends.
Okay, so yeah, maybe
they got
that
Will
was the other one.
Kimura
The guy from Ohio State. I can't even say his name. Will Comerick or something like that.
Something like that. Who?
Yeah, he was the one that was
sneaky good.
What's that?
They say he's sneaky good because he wasn't really used. Like, where before he transferred there, he had like numbers off the charts, and then when he went there, he only had 12 catches. So they're like, this guy is like one of those sneaky good pass catchers who's also a really good blocker.
Well, I guess we'll see. I think he was the athletic one that they took.
Yeah, and then their other one was Sadovin Trayor from Mississippi State.
Yeah, and he was the blocking tight end, I believe. So it'll be interesting. I mean, they still need pass catchers there. They took 2 of them. They took 2 tight ends. So I guess they added 3, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, I guess so. We can move on to the next one now, which is your Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'll let you start out with what you want to talk about from this draft.
So I like this draft a lot. I couldn't give them an A, though, just because of the fact the news broke that we were on the phone with Mekhi Lemon. And then the Eagles trade in front of us. Like, that's insulting more than anything. Like, first off, if you're not on the clock, why are you calling that guy? Is my first question.
Well,
but
back in the older days, though, when there was no cell phones, you could tie up somebody's house line, so then teams wouldn't be able to get a hold of them. But that just seems like too old of a game to try to play now.
Right. So that being said, though, one thing it did force us to do is go a different route, and they went tackle, which is something that we needed, especially with the unknowns with Broderick Jones trying to recover from this neck injury. So even if Broderick Jones is fine, that still makes your offensive line better because you're adding Big Max, and he has a mean streak to him. And then when you come back around and get Jeremy Bernard in the second, I think that tackle and then receiver probably fits better than Lemon and whatever tackle you took in the second there.
Yeah, I'd say so too. But this Pittsburgh Steelers draft, man, I gave them an A because it was kind of genius. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They went out and got a bunch of guys to protect the quarterback. If Rodgers doesn't come back, they went with Drew Allar in the third, who that would be a great competition between him and Will Howard. I think Will Howard wins that one out by an edge, but they also got a cornerback from Georgia, Dalen Everett, which is friggin' something else they need.
Another good corner.
Dunker late third was a friggin' great steal.
That might have been my favorite pick of our draft was Jennings Dunker at the back of the third. Like he's one we were talking about. I think one draft, I think you said that you could see him going in the first.
Oh, I could.
Yeah. I mean, he's that kind of player.
In the second, but I could see somebody taking him in the first.
And how about that mullet?
And then they got a punt return specialist from Iowa and Caden Wetjet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is something else they've been looking for. And Kenneth Gainwell was doing that last year, and he's not on the team anymore. So you get him.
The only pick that I thought was strange was the one they took in the fifth with the tight end, Riley Notowski from Indiana. What do you need another tight end for? Like, you got a shit ton of them there in Pittsburgh right now.
Like I said, every draft there's one. Maybe they're looking for another Darnell Washington. I'm not sure.
And then what you think of their last pick with Eli Heinrich from Navy?
Yeah, Eli Heidenreich, running back. He was a killer at Navy. Add him to the backfield. Why not? We lost
does he
Gainwell.
not
We brought in.
Remind you of Jalen Warren and his run style and what he can do?
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the reasons. We know they love these. Well, I guess we don't know that they love these kind of backs, but as an organization, like Jalen Samuels was another one of those running backs like that.
Yeah,
so,
it's just interesting. All right, well, let's move on to your second favorite team, the Ravens.
You're right.
They took that guy from Penn State, the Vegas guy.
Yeah, Vega Ioane. He's the one I wanted in Pittsburgh, and then the Ravens got him. I'm like, well, son of a bitch.
Yeah,
he is a Ravens player though. Like he's a stud already. I think.
Even the next guy they took in the second round, and Zion Young from Missouri, I thought, yeah, that's definitely a Ravens guy. Like I knew that was the pick when he was on the board there on the clock. I'm like, this is who they're taking. Like it's without freaking.
Yeah, and
no doubt in my mind.
He's another one. It seemed like he could be a first round pick to some teams at the back of the first, maybe trying to get that 5th year option.
Yep.
So
a lot of these guys. And then they went with the third and the fourth. They went Jacoby Lane from USC and Elijah Surratt from Indy. But I'm still like, these two guys, I think I might take them off my board because I hate freaking old Baltimore receivers with Lamar there. And they just like to run the ball too much.
So looking at this draft, though, because I agree with you, and that was my initial reaction was, wait a second, like, why are they doing this? Do you think that this also signals that maybe they're changing their play style in Baltimore, going 2 receivers in the 3rd round? Because that's more capital than they typically do.
I just don't know if they draft even the right guys because you think of all the wide receivers they get. Like they get wide receivers that still fit their mold. The Baltimore thing, no, you need at least one fucking mega diva.
Yeah.
I don't care. Diva wide receivers, man, you need one. The rest can all be your Baltimore way, but they don't have a diva wide receiver right now.
Nope. Sure you don't.
I just don't like it. And then they got the tight end, Matthew Hibner, which was their Isaiah Likely replacement. This guy here is under the radar too. So if you can get him late in your drafts rounds, like 3rd, 4th round, he's a guy I'd be looking at too.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just not sure what this offense is going to be with a defensive-minded coach, and like you still got Lamar Jackson, and that offense seems like it should run a certain way because of him. But this draft is it's different. Like you let Likely walk. Why are you drafting another tight end to be Isaiah Likely again? You know?
Yep. And then they also took that running back out of Clemson, Adam Randall.
Yeah. Did you hear the story about this pick?
Nope.
Okay. So apparently the owner of the team has been asking for a draft pick just to make a pick. And this was the pick that he made.
Oh, yeah?
So they gave him this pick and said, like, okay, you can take whoever you want. And it sounds like he gave it to his son, and his son wanted Adam Randall, so that was the pick they made. The interesting part is I think he's a good fill-in if you're ever missing Derrick Henry.
Oh, he's better than that. What was that? Rashad Ali?
Rasheen Ali.
Yeah, I'd rather him than Rashid Ali.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they're totally different sizes, too. Ali's a smaller back, and so was who's the other one? Keenan Mitchell.
Yep. Who's now
Yeah.
with the Chargers. So they needed
Yeah.
somebody, but I gave the Ravens a B+.
Yeah, I did too. As much as I hate it, they do tend to always draft well, and even the picks that I question end up working out okay.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Browns, who, again, I had in my top 3 of the draft
Yep.
for classes. So I gave
killed
them an
this
A+.
draft. Yep. I didn't give them an A+ because, like I said, nobody got one, but they got an A.
Yeah.
So
They friggin' trade
great
back
draft.
3 spots with KC. Start out with tackle Thanu. Start protecting Shador so he doesn't have to run backwards as much. And then they came out with the back of the second and the top of the third with KC Concepcion and Denzel Boston, 2 brand new targets. Jerry Jeudy, you're now the fucking slot receiver. You're stuck
Cedric
balls.
Cedric Tillman by Jamari Thrash. Right. Okay.
Yep. And then they've come back in the back of the second with safety Emmanuel McNeil-Warren from Toledo, who's a tone setter of the back. So they've started working on they had a great class, man. Then the third,
they really did.
Went with the tackle, Austin Barber from Florida, nasty streak to him.
Yep, another
Fifth,
big
they
dude.
went center from Parker Brailsford from Alabama. They did it awesome. And then in the back of the 5th and 6th, 7th, they went 2 tight ends and Joe Royer, Carson Ryan, and then took quarterback Taylor Green from Arkansas, that quarterback that can fly. So I wonder if Monken's going to design some Cordell Stewart type plays.
That's what I was thinking, or maybe he's even just looking at Taylor Green to run Lamar Jackson.
It could be that
against
too.
the defense.
Yeah, that would be smart too.
So
yeah, they had
this
good
draft. Yes, it might be my favorite draft actually, which I hate saying to a division rival, but they absolutely killed it. And McNeil-Warren at the back of the second, that was just crazy. It was funny. My group chat, my buddy Mitch, shout out Mitch, when they made their first second round pick, he's like, "Man, I really want Emmanuel McNeil-Warren," and then they took Denzel Boston, and then coming back in their second pick, he was still on the board and they took him. So it was, well, ask and you shall receive because you got what you wanted. And they did it later, which was even better.
And now we'll see these Brown things and how they're going to fuck this all up.
Well, so what's funny about it is one of the other guys in the chat, I believe it was Luke, shout out Luke, said something along the lines of, when did the Browns actually get good at drafting? And the first response, I think, was again from Mitch saying when they let DePodesta go. So maybe they're going to get back to drafting well, because we talked about when they fired him, he was the guy that you mentioned was from baseball and had no idea what he was doing. Yep.
Oh, he had no fucking clue. He's just a baseball and 100% analytics. You cannot do football at 100% analytics. You can do the way I look at analytics. You look at the tape, then you look at the analytics to see if it matches what your eye sees. And if they match, then you know you got a good combination. Go out and draft a guy. But just going purely by analytics, you're getting all these guys that are just false, fake fucking idols type stuff, right?
Yep, exactly.
All right, we'll move to the Bengals. I gave them a B-.
Okay, I was right at a B.
I did not take in the trade for Dexter Lawrence at all as the first, so their first pick was in the second. I just went by purely their picks for my grades.
Okay.
They got Cassius Howe, which was between him and that Niners pick at defensive tackle, who they thought would be the first one in the second, going over from day 1 to day 2. Took a cornerback in the third in Takaro Davis from Washington, so they're working on their defense. They took 2 centers, which I thought was interesting, one from Auburn and one from Duke. And they took Colby Young from Georgia, who I think is a decent YR3 there.
Yeah, and that was the one I was going to ask you about, because he was a receiver that we talked about a little later in the draft process that kind of surprised us coming on late with the size-speed combo that he's got. Interesting, he ends up in Cincinnati. One of the reasons I gave him a B was because that Cassius Howe pick was another guy that I thought could be a back of the first. So if your first pick is in the second, like Buffalo, and you guys were getting what we thought were first-round talents with your first pick in the second, it makes it a lot easier to swallow not having that first-round pick. So
it sure does.
I like this draft. One of the other things with this, Cincinnati's defense definitely got better in this draft.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
I think that's good for them as a team. It's good for Joe Burrow. Maybe not great for fantasy though.
What do you think of them getting Jack Endies at 7.5?
I like that too. Actually, I totally forgot about that. Joe Burrow is one of those guys that we know he likes his tight ends, and they just haven't really found the one that he likes enough, I guess. And every time he does, Eric. Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say Eric All and him seemed to get something going, and then he got hurt. But
Yeah.
I like this pick because Jack Andrews is one of those athletic tight ends. Didn't have to do as much production at Texas because the offensive line was just not really good last year. I think that was more of the problems with Arch than anything else. So
Yeah, I thought they did a lot.
I like it. I think it's a good value later.
Yeah, a lot of good things they needed to do. I think they're smart trading away that pick, getting somebody who's like, entrenched and can do it in the NFL rather than a guy you got to work with. So I think that was a smart move.
I agree.
Bengals did well. We'll move on to the Indianapolis Colts now.
Okay.
So they started out, didn't have any first round picks, and they came out with the second with CJ Allen, linebacker from Georgia, then came back with the third with safety AJ Hockley from LSU. So I thought they had nailed two great pieces for the defense there.
Did we do Colts grades?
Nope, I gave them a B plus.
Okay, I gave them a B also. Another one, just that first pick of the second, CJ Allen.
Yep.
We talked about him in the first a lot. So I think another one. They needed a linebacker. They got one.
Linebackers, safeties, and corners all just dropped in this class.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
For fantasy purposes, they took in the seventh Seth McNow from Kentucky, who helped me make it to the finals in our NCAA fantasy league, and Deion Burks, which just before they took him, I'm like, I can't believe Deion Burks hasn't been drafted to you. And then he was like, the next pick. I'm like, okay, I like that pick a lot. Like, he can replace Michael Pittman. Won't be as good, but he can fill those shoes.
Yeah, and he's faster than Michael Pittman too. Maybe a little more athletic on that end. So it adds another element. I think the response I sent you to that text was maybe the next Alec Pierce, where starts as maybe a little simpler route tree, and then you develop it and actually teach him to be a receiver.
Yeah, be interesting to see what they do. But
especially in the seventh.
Let's move on to these horrible Texans who took my Niners' first pick, I'm pretty sure, but with Keelan Rutledge from Georgia Tech, the guard. I'm pretty sure that's who the Niners were after, and that's why they started trading back there and took that freaking guy they did with the wide receiver position that they could have got the fourth.
It makes sense too because he also can move inside and play center, so anywhere on the interior. And we can get into grades, but Houston, I actually gave them a B also because
I gave them an A.
Okay. I mean, you could probably bump it up more, but I love that they actually tried to address the offensive line. And that first pick in Keelan Rutledge, I think, is a piece that I think that's who New England wanted back there too. So.
Oh yeah, and then they also got Cade McDonald at the top of the second, who they traded up to get, which was like one of their tiny holes that they had on that defense. So they made their number one defense in the NFL slightly better by that pick too.
Another guy, Caden McDonald, should have been a first round pick.
Oh yeah. And then they came back in the fourth because they didn't have any third. And they went with an offensive guard from Oklahoma, Fibici, whatever. His name's down there. I can't say it. But.
Another big mauler.
And they took Lewis Bond from Boston College near the back of the six.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Is that just still Tank Dell maybe not there?
Oh, I don't think Tank Dell's ever going to play football again, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. It's just that, I mean, they always add a receiver, and it's interesting because they've been doing it for a while. Last year they added two.
Yeah, I don't think it changes their room too much, though.
No, I don't either.
Okay, we'll move on to the Jaguars, and I gave the Jaguars a C+. That wasn't
they were one of my lower. Actually, I think they were my lowest grade. I gave them a C.
Yeah,
I didn't understand it.
They didn't have a pick until the back of the second. And they took a tight end, but they took the number one blocking tight end in the class. So they're really trying to work on that run game. But you let ETN walk, so you're going with who'd they take last year? There, the speed kid,
Bashal Tutin.
Yeah, him and Bigsby. Like, come on.
Well, Bigsby's not even there. That's
right. They traded him.
Yeah, he's in Philly. They got Bashal Tutin, LaQuint Allen. Both were rookies last year. And they brought in Chris Rodriguez, I think it was, from Washington.
Yeah, I don't like that running back at all.
No, it's a weird one, that's for sure.
They actually went with two tight ends as well. They took Tanner Kolzar from Houston.
Yeah, and he's the one that I actually like, Tanner Koziel. I think he's actually athletic and he can catch. So maybe later throw a dart in the fourth round on a fantasy sleeping tight end, maybe. But I mean, what's he going to be? Brenton Strange?
Yeah, because this is a lot of strange picks to me. They went two wide receivers to start the six, Well,
Yeah, it
both
was
their 6th-round picks, Josh Cameron from Baylor and CJ Williams from Stanford. Neither one of those are guys that jumped out at me that will work with this offense.
I agree. And actually, I don't even think we talked about either one of them.
No, we didn't. So,
So that should tell you something.
We'll go to the last team of draft grades we're going to do today, and the Tennessee Titans. They had the 4th pick overall, and they surprised everybody. And they were the second surprise of the draft when they went Carnell Tate. Sonny Styles is right there, Salah. Perfect for your system. And they went Tate to get Ward. I understand it because you need a freaking number 1 wide receiver there. And I don't think Ridley's that guy anymore.
No. So real quick, what grade did you give them?
I gave them an A.
I did too. And I was with you on you should have taken Sonny Styles until you look at their 2nd-round pick. And it's another linebacker that we loved in Anthony Hill Jr.
Yeah, they got lucky.
And I love that. So would you rather? Oh, I agree. They totally got lucky.
I'm not going to say they did it wrong. I think they did it right with how it went. But at the time, it's like I tried to explain this to Terrence. I was hoping he'd come on the show today, but just for this pure conversation. And I was talking about this Anthony Hill because he's the one that I had going to the Bears all the time, right?
Yeah, we talked about that one.
And like that is a great pick, man. Like you're getting a guy that can step in, and he's like, well, if he's friggin' that guy, what the hell is Sonny Styles? I was like, Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I go, he's Ray Lewis, man. I go, Sonny Styles is walking in to the talent level already of Fred Warner, like equivalent.
Right.
I would put them on the same page. But the thing is, Warner's at his peak because he's near the end of his career. Sonny's still got time to learn. He's only been doing the linebacker position for 2 years. So just imagine what he will be in 5 years.
Right. The reason you make that pick is because he's already developed to the point that he's already walking in, making an impact, where Hill could, but he's already he's not at Sonny Styles level because not a lot of people are.
No. Hill and Cedric Gray are a good combination, though.
Oh, that's an awesome combo in the middle.
And the reason that I give the Titans an A over a B is because of their 5th-round pick and Nicholas Singleton. I think
that was another great
immediately takes over that backfield. Immediately. I think he's better than Bullard. I think he's better than Spears.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I think in time he could, but there's also a lot of money going to Tony Pollard.
Well, there shouldn't be.
I agree, but there is, and when you're paying them, the owners want to see something returned for their money.
Well, for sure. But that's our draft grades and how we saw the AFC. Next episode, we'll be doing all the NFC teams and going through them just like we did here. So that's our draft grades.
Let us know what you guys think. Is there anyone that you thought had a killer draft or anyone that you thought just sucked awfully?
Bell time. Let's get into it. The league that the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has things to do with. United Football League.
All right, now we're going to talk about the UFL games that just happened in week 5. So we'll start with the first one here. We had the DC Defenders went in to play the Birmingham Stallions, and I thought this game would have been a little bit better than it was. DC took a hold of this early on and won 45-28, put them to 4-1. And Birmingham falls to 1-4 as one of the weakest teams in the UFL for the first time since the UFL's formed, as they've won back-to-back championships to start it out. Timu threw 275 yards. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had a great freaking game. On the other side, Dorian Thompson-Robinson was the quarterback. He threw 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So you're just not going to win if you're making that many mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. And when you look at these numbers, like 313 and 2 touchdowns sounds good. It's the 2 interceptions that's the problem. And you got 313 yards because you were getting absolutely blown out this whole game.
Yeah, garbage time. He also ran for 43 yards and ran one in. So
yeah.
That's what Dorian Thompson-Robinson gives you. And he should be running away with this league, not struggling like this.
Right, you would think. So give it a couple more weeks, I think, maybe, because I don't think he started a whole lot of games yet.
No,
I think
I think this was
took over.
The second start, I believe.
Yeah, sounds about right. And on the other side, Teamu knows this league. He's been killing it since he came in.
He's also the reigning MVP.
Yeah, exactly.
So he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
Next game we had was the St. Louis Battlehawks went in to play the Orlando Storm. Orlando Storm was undefeated. This one was pretty close, but St. Louis ultimately won it 25-17, putting them to 3-2. And that was Orlando Storm's first loss, putting them to 4-1. Plummer only threw for 143 yards for the Storm with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Frost on the other side, 185, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So this was a defensive battle more than anything.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think this is the first game that Orlando was actually, their defense kind of let them down a little bit, and they didn't even really do that. It was just the other team was better today.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but I think I've been the most surprised by Orlando. I didn't think they would be at the top of the league like this.
No, me neither. Do you remember what team they were? Because they were one of the ones that moved.
Were they Michigan?
Jeez, I don't even know.
I'm trying to think. So I guess we can go with some players.
Columbus is a new one. They weren't Michigan. And Louisville was a new one. No, none of these guys. Maybe they were Michigan. I'll have to look it up after we get off. I'm pretty sure they might have been. Because all their guys are different too, right? Michigan had all those Puka guys. Nakuas.
Yep. Kai and I forget the other one's name.
Yeah. All right. The third game we got here is the Columbus Aviators going in to play the Houston Gamblers, and Houston won this game 17-13, and they won it with a field goal to start the fourth quarter, and there was no other points after that, putting Houston to 2-3 and Columbus to 1-4. For Houston, Nolan Henderson threw 146 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and also ran it for 37 yards and a touchdown. For Columbus, McClendon had 160, again, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and Zamir White ran for 38 yards.
Yeah,
pretty low-key defensive game.
Yeah, and Columbus really just hasn't been able to get anything going from McClendon really yet.
No, you'll see a quarterback change this week, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And on the other side, Nolan Henderson, that's his first start, I believe, isn't it?
I believe so. He came in late last week, so.
Okay.
Then the final game of the weekend, we had the Louisville Kings going to play the Dallas Renegades, and I thought Dallas would have ran away with this one, but it was the Kings who did, and they won 47-25, putting them to 2-3 and Dallas to 3-2. For the Kings, Rodgers threw 150 yards. James Robinson's also made an appearance in the UFL. Right. Now he ran the ball 13 times for 63 yards. On the other side, you had Reed threw for 195 yards, 1 touchdown, and 4 interceptions. You ain't winning nothing like that.
That is how you lose. Yep. Yeah, that's crazy. James Robinson, another one, should start to take over this league, I would think, with what we saw him do in Jacksonville.
Oh, and if he doesn't, then that knee injury is a lot worse than we ever thought it was, right? But just weird that he's making an appearance in the 4th year of this league. Like, that should have been somebody you would have been contacted in year 1, I think.
Yeah, you would think so. And maybe it was just he wasn't fielding calls because he was still trying to get in the NFL at that point. I mean, he was with the Saints, I think, 2 years ago and didn't even see the field.
Yeah,
so
the Saints had a lot of people 2 years ago that never saw the running back position. Yeah, well, that was Week 5 matchups. We'll get into Week 6 here. So first one we got is on Thursday night at 8 p.m. It's on Fox. We got the St. Louis Battlehawks, who are 3-2, going in to play the Louisville Kings, who are 2-3. St. Louis, I think, is just going to overpower them, even though the Kings have been coming on lately. And once they've made that quarterback switch, playing a bit better.
I think so, too. It's just this league, there's so much parity. Like, even last week, the 2 blowout games were games we thought would go the opposite direction. So, never really know what you're going to get with this league.
Well, I don't think I like it, but this league is coaching. Plays about
for sure.
70%. Like, what's going to happen in the game?
Yeah, and then maybe 10% for a quarterback, and the other 10% is luck.
Yep, basically. Second game we got here is Friday at 8 p.m. on Fox as well. We got the Houston Gamblers, who are 2-3, going in to play the Columbus Aviators, who are 1-4. I'm not even going to guess which way this game is going to go, because both these teams have been struggling this year, and both their wins have just come off weak teams as well.
Yep, and there's another matchup of weak teams, so we'll see. Houston, maybe, if I had to pick one.
Yeah, I'd probably pick Houston too. Third game we got Saturday at noon on ABC. The Dallas Renegades at 3-2, going in to play the DC Defenders, and this one should be good. I know Dallas just lost, right? Yeah, but they're going to want some revenge game because they're a better team than what they played against Louisville.
Yes, I agree, and they're going to want to show that this week. And for some reason, I feel like these two teams are rivals. I don't know that they are. Maybe it's just in my head. But these two teams seem like they should be rivals if they're not.
Yeah. Be interesting.
10
And then
big
the
better
final
teams.
game we got is on Sunday at 4. So they basically got a game from Thursday to Sunday right now. Their schedule's been weird all season.
Yeah, it really
But
has.
this one's at 4 p.m. on Fox. It's the Birmingham Stallions sitting at 1-4 going into play Orlando, who's 4-1. On paper, this looks like Orlando should win this, but I can't count out Birmingham with how they've been throughout this league since it started.
Right. It just they're one of the surprises, I think, this year, being 1-4. I don't think we saw that coming.
Yep, for sure. But that's how we see the UFL weekend coming up.
Sit down and talk about all the world stuff that goes on around the world under your nose. Never know where we'll end up. Come with us and we'll chase that rabbit down there all over there today.
All right, we're into the final portion of the show where Alex and I talk about strange and weird things from around the world going on. Today, we're going to be talking about the 2026 UFL disclosures that have happened. Now, one thing we should mention with me, I'm sure you probably found the same freaking thing going through and seeing what's out there, but there's this summer movie coming out called Disclosure. And everything in that movie is basically all the disclosures that's happened this year. And it just seems like they've made this movie to confuse things.
Yeah, that or they're creating it, and it could be. We've talked about it with some books where they label it as science fiction, so it doesn't have to go through certain, I guess, inspections or processes, and they label it science fiction, and then come out later and like, well, no, that's all real. We just had to call it science fiction. Or is that what they're doing with this movie, where they're like, yeah, it's just a movie, it's just entertainment, but really that's where they're actually telling us everything.
Well, yeah, and I think people are going to be confused. Oh, that's not disclosed. That was just in the movie. What are you talking about? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
It just creates confusion, right? But
Exactly.
one thing that the government's done, maybe you haven't heard about this, but there's a website out there now that the U.S. government's made, www.alien.gov.
Huh. All
So,
right.
and
Well,
that's where they're putting all their disclosure type of stuff that they're doing with all these Congress hearings and stuff. But
all right. Well, it's
a
easy to
weird thing
find.
yeah. We also got Trump. He passed that law in February, which was stating they want the release of
Right.
all videos and stuff from the CIA, the Pentagon, anything to do with aliens. He wants it all released. April 14th was actually the date they had, so that's passed. But they're doing stuff to force them now, I guess, because they've gone back to the White House and said, look, we've got all this, but it's too much information to track it all down. There's more than what you
Right.
think. Because they're basically going off Congresswoman, what's her name here?
Anna Paulina Luna.
Yeah, that's it. She's
Yeah.
requested for 46 videos, but apparently there's a lot more than just these 46 videos.
Yeah, no, she's also said throughout this process that they're setting it up so that she basically has to ask for the exact video, kind of like at the Vatican, where it's like, hey, I want this thing. And they're like, well, we don't know if we have that thing. You need to know exactly what you're asking for.
Yeah, and if it's not written down
So-
exactly, you don't get it. So it's
Right.
soft.
But like
Just anything
so if you spell it wrong, it doesn't count. Nope, that's different.
Yeah.
Is it though?
Just craziness. Congress has also had a lot of hearings this year about it.
Mhm.
And I'm surprised a lot of this stuff doesn't make the mainstream media or even any type of news out there. But one of the things when I was reading through it was they admitted that there's an alien base in the Pacific Ocean, and what they're doing there is mining for gold at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, and I have not seen anything about this. Like you mentioned that to me, I was like, okay, well, guess we gotta figure that stuff out. So
I'll
like,
send you. I've
yeah.
got the whole
to
Congress
send me a whole
freaking
bunch of
write up for that hearing. So, and then they also admitted to having 12 UFO crafts or UAP crafts, I guess they call them now, and that they've been trying to reverse engineer them since the 50s.
yeah, and that's part of the Bob Lazar story. Is he talks about how they had him, and one of them they used to watch fly. So, I mean, it's just crazy. I have no idea. I think that there's obviously things that we do not know. And the part that I find interesting is that it ties in with the other stuff that we've talked about where they build that space-time bubble around themselves. So like what looks like it's doing crazy things to us, it's not actually doing those things because it's just kind of sliding along.
Yeah, and I think
Gravity.
some of the UFOs and UAPs that we see are actually government-owned ones that they're just testing out the equipment
Right.
that they've reversed engineered. Also, in these Congress hearings, people keep mentioning allegations of more secret type programs, and they're naming them. That wasn't mentioned in all the Trump freaking stuff. So Trump's also trying to add all those types of things in. There's been a lot of whistleblowers coming out lately, if you keep an eye on that, telling of secret crash sites that have never been talked about in the history, because there's one in Pennsylvania they talk about where the military was able to get in, get the craft, and get out before any citizen even woke up in that small town.
Yeah, and you know,
crazy.
like for sure. And when you consider like the whole thing that happened with Venezuela when they went in and just took Maduro and his wife in the middle of the night, like, okay, when you see them pulling off that, what else maybe have they been able to do?
Yeah,
we
and doing
don't
it
know
with
about?
with sound and making people
Right.
paralyzed basically
Right.
while they just walk it and did what they needed to do
Yeah, it's just crazy.
without hurting anybody. There's also these whistleblowers talk about non-human materials, so basically metamaterials. But Bigelow from Bigelow Space Agency has been talking about metamaterials, and he says he has it in a warehouse just outside of Las Vegas, and he's the one that owned Skinwalker Ranch when the government was doing all those testing back in the 80s on that. And then he's the one that sold it to the current owner. So he's been saying he's had metamaterials for a long time to work out stuff for the government.
Yeah, and he's also the one that had that was it like a essay competition about consciousness and how it relates to the existence of an afterlife and stuff like that. He kind of shifted from aliens to consciousness.
Yeah.
And interesting because I think there's a lot of overlap there.
Well, the thing I find too is a lot of people go from aliens to the consciousness type of stuff, and then being able to go within the 12 realms of the earth.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of that ties into that block universe theory we talked about too.
Yep. And then we got all these scientists going missing, or people pulling up dead, like David Wilcox there that we just talked about in the show, and all this type of stuff. Everybody is a kind of around and worked on these alien projects, or like looking into, or popping up missing and dead. And I think that kind of all goes in with this kind of disclosure, although there's been no proof out there of it.
Right. And that's the big thing, is trying to find the evidence and the proof of all those things. But these things are big enough too, and there's enough people, and it's easy enough to trick people in today's society, right? Especially with AI, that are we ever really going to know unless it's like right in front of us?
Exactly. So that's what you got to remember, people. Question everything.
Have a good one.